inside Thursday night. How's it going? Alright, strip back, good crack, multi-trade podcast. Share the knowledge you know, help to make our sector grow. Everybody's learning from experts and the journeyman. Insights.
Welcome to Season 4, Episode 1. I'm Stephen Buckley.
And I'm Keith Delahan.
And this is Insight, the Stripped Back podcast, sponsored by Robbins Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
And later on this episode, we've got former Olympian and current pro boxer Emmet Brennan joining us.
But before that, we've got Dessie Robbins joining us for the first overload segment of Season 4.
Let's get into it.
The Overload segment. Now on Insight, the Stripped Back podcast.
Right, Dessie, thanks for joining myself and Keith on the first overload segment of Season 4 here in the Robbins headquarters. We've got a pint of Guinness in front of us here and not get it back.
Thanks for having me, lads. I'm honoured to be on.
Yeah, you're the lad that's online that has me jealous most weeks with your tills, teasing me, costing me a fortune then.
Oh, you can have a land of it any time.
Maybe, Des, as a man, you're probably not too much older than us, and we probably, qualified in around the same time. Can you remember, what the drive was for you to even get into the electrical game?
Suppose, lads, the drive was, I wasn't really enjoying school. Here I've listened to a couple here podcasts, and most people say the same thing. But yeah, and I wanted to leave school and be junior cert, but my father wouldn't let me, and he was installing alarms and stuff, and I just followed sort of in his way. But I wanted to be a builder first off, and he said, "No, well, you're back at red ribbons by 25," and he said, "Go into this." And to be honest, probably the best thing I ever did. But I didn't go into it first. Went into the network side of things, like Cat 6 and comms, cabinets and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was great. I loved it. Worked for a big crowd on Celtic Tiger. As a 17-year-old leaving school, I was making small fortune, like €730. Euro had only just come out. I remember, I was like, how do I spend this? This is great.
Tools now and you.
Yeah, well, I did not back then. I didn't have the tool fetish then. But yeah, that's where it began anyway. And never looked back. Just kept going, kept progressing.
When you were in school, did you do the stereotypical, woodwork and engineering? Did you have any kind of background or that kind of level?
No woodwork, but up to third year. And then after that, I was into construction studies, and it was a bit of woodwork, and that's where I loved it. Like, got top marks and all, made a big lovely cabinet. That's where I really wanted to, go further and do different things and stuff, But my dad, he pushed me definitely towards the electrical. And at the time, I couldn't get anything, and I literally finished school on a Wednesday, had a job on the Thursday doing networks. It was great. But then he taught me out of leaving that good money and going for the apprenticeship. Went into the house bashing. Loved it, but hated the fellow I was with. But I got into FOSS anyway. And when I was in FOSS, your man who I was working for was ringing me to get me out of FOSS to go do jobs with him and stuff. And that's where I actually began I had a good apprenticeship, like really, really sort of footing all different parts, you know what I mean? Industrial, fucking fire alarms, loads of stuff. And when I was in FOSS, the instructor actually copped your mate at the gate, and he pulled me to one side and he said, "Listen, what's going on there?" And I started to tell him, because he knew this happened like 3 times a week. And when he pulled me out there and he says, "Tell him you want your P45. And I was like, "What?" This I have to go back to him, whatever. Rang him, he lost the plot, giving me loads down the phone. And your man, the instructor's name was Aidan. He said, I'll have a job for you as soon as you finish this. And I went straight from house bashing into a big industrial job. Loved it.
Never look back.
Mm.
It's funny, it's kind of a common thread, isn't it, from lads in our kind of era, like where my dad was the exact same. Like, as soon as I finished, I think I finished the Friday and the Monday morning, I was in, starting with my first electrical contractor. It was like a
Good old
the gold rush or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
I remember it as well. It's like it's clear memory. Leaving cert done, forgotten about. Get onto a job, get onto a site, working in Mead Street. A few apartments at Mead Street at the time, and remember like hoarding up like storage heater blocks, like into apartment blocks, and the leaving cert results were coming out that week, and so I had no interest in them. My mother went and collected the leaving cert results for me. I didn't go and get them because I'd started my career now, you know what I mean? She was ringing me then saying, you got this, you got that. And I said, sure, what does it matter now? I've started work. Like, you know what I mean? It's no real interest. But like similar to yourself, Dessie, it was, my mother, more my father as well. Like, just.
Well, he did say your dad has a background in electronics.
Yeah. So, like, he would have Technicon and Swords, like, and then it's now, it was Biodiagnostics and now Siemens, like, but, so he would have. He calls himself a frustrated electrician, like, so he has the knowledge, like, but he just never went on and done the actual electrician qualification. So
I used to do it in my house from your last. So that's a different conversation.
Fires anyway, that's the main thing.
Yeah, he's good in fairness.
But look, it's my father then pushed me in. He was like, look, this is the technical end of it. He taught me all the the scientific end of things. And I remember at the time you were doing science in the leaving cert. I think you had like 7 sections you could choose, but you had to do, I think, 4 out of 7 or something. You'd get marked on them, and you'd get. My teacher at the time was telling us not to do the like, don't do anything. It was like, I don't know what
physics was this.
Yeah, there was physics, but there was a bit that touched on electrons and current flow and stuff like that. And they were like, don't answer those ones, because she couldn't mark us on them. She didn't know how to answer the question. So when it came to the mocks, she was like, don't do that. So I did it anyway, and she failed me. Like, I got an F in physics, like, and my dad was like, it doesn't matter. She just didn't know how to mark them. So do it again. Did it again. Got a B in the
actual thing.
So it's just, he was behind me in a sense of, like, he could see that I had the interest in it. He was behind me in the sense of, I know you can do the job after the leaving cert, but just guide you. But similar to yourself, he just had an outlook where, and I think you mentioned this before in one of the previous episodes, Key, about our fathers, probably seeing something that they done, or they left, or they didn't have leaving certs themselves, and maybe they might have struggled a bit more, but eventually found their place and started making money for themselves. They just wanted better for us.
Put that bit out,
yeah. Making things better for their kids is what everybody wants to do. You know what I mean? If you look back at, like, your apprenticeship was fairly, domestic, and like what you mentioned there, like, you got in and you got, working on Cat 6s and all fairly early on as well. Like, and I've seen a bit of your work on Instagram. There is an art to it, isn't there? Like, getting.
Yeah, there is. Like, I put it all down to one man. He's passed away now, but when I was working with him, funny enough, he worked for the fella who gave me the apprenticeship first off, and he hated him as well. But, he just had the same experience with him. But Pat McGinn was the fella's name. I'm sure people listening to this will know him, because he's known far and wide. He's superb at what he does. But, like, I was young going into high-end data centers, and I'm not talking about the start of the data center, like the fit out. This is live, and you're going down halls, and you have a route to go, and you have to go down aisle 7 and take a left. Your phone is put in an evidence bag at reception, sealed up, top secret stuff, like. And I went going around with this fella, and he was just trusted everywhere he went, and I learned absolutely everything I know now from him. Like, he was a great man. He's just one of those. I'd be more the type of, I see how to do something. I know it. You know what I mean? Where if I'm reading a book or whatever, it's not great for me.
Yeah.
The wealth of knowledge that man has, and he passed it all on to me. It was great.
Yeah, get lucky in that sense. Don't you? Sometimes, like you mentioned it before, just like having somebody that's just willing to step back even as well and let you to work on it, like Eric, wasn't it?
Eric Griffin, yeah. So he was close to retiring. So, but he had a wit. Like at the time, I probably didn't notice it, but he had this wit, like where he'd like inadvertently push you in the deep end, like, but for your own benefit, like, you know what I mean. But at the time, you're like, he shouldn't be telling me to do that. I don't know how to do it or whatever. But
I'd say I can't do that. He said, of course you can, get in there and do it.
yeah.
It was great.
A mix of guys out there. I remember telling Keith a story there recently where, I started my apprenticeship and I was working on big jobs, and then they'd put you with a qualified lad and you'd go around with him, and next minute then he'd take me off in the van. He says, like, we've got a job here, we've got a job there, and he'd drop me off at somebody's house, like, and he'd be like, right, this kitchen is getting done. I need you to strip this all out. I'll come back and get you at whatever time, and come back and collect me and we'd drop me home, and next minute then, he'd pick me up the next morning, we'd go off to the big site again around 10 o'clock, whatever. He's like, we have to go off to another job. He'd pick me up again and bring me back to that same kitchen. He's like, right now you've got to wire this all in and second fix and all, seen a couple of hours, whatever. I only realised a few months after he'd left the company like that, your man was actually taking me off to his Nixers,
Oh, God. Yeah.
But that bit of experience that I was getting, I was actually getting better experience doing that.
The main question though is, did he throw you a 50?
No.
Oh, see,
that's the problem.
It's worse. It gets worse.
Yeah, but look, in the greater scheme of things, the knowledge I was getting from it, I was able to harness that then, like, you know what I mean, and because I wasn't getting that experience on the big sites, like, you know what I mean. That sort of benefited me because it gave me a look into,
if you can do a kitchen on your own, you can do anything.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare.
Well, that's it. Like, and at the end of the day, dealing with then as an apprentice, like, the customer coming home and asking you questions, like, you know what I mean, and you're having to talk to them and look at the drawings, like, and even just to ring him up then and start asking him questions on it and then relaying that, he was letting me do that, like.
Yeah.
Now, in a sense of, like, right, he was wrong. He was wrong in what he was doing, but I was getting something out of it.
You were getting something.
And that was the main thing,
It worked for you.
But I guess, like, in your sense, there's, like, having that experience and then getting, like, like dipping your toe in all different aspects of it, do you think you'd be a good teacher if you had an apprentice underneath yourself?
Oh, I love passing it on. I love showing, like, like the little tricks and not tricks, like just little methods of doing things, and it makes so much, like, take the normal little job much easier. Like, I always see them on Instagram and stuff, like the cable tie on the SWA to measure it to the glance. It's great. But I love passing on all that stuff. Like the lad I was telling you about earlier, the apprentice who came back as the electrician, he always says, I remember when you showed me that. I remember when you showed me that. And he's great lad. Like, it's I consider myself a good teacher. Well, I'd like to think I'm a good teacher.
Yeah. I used to work for a lad in Balbriggan. Now this lad was, if we're on a course, he was a bollocks. He just was very nice, right? So, he taught me one really good little trick, right? So, long story short, I ended up working for another company, right? And you get the coil of NYMJ, so you get it on the roll.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
The backbreaker.
The backbreakers. You start trying to roll it off, like. So I was on this job, right, and there was a lad over me, be like a charge hand or whatever you call them, and I started hold it on one arm, right. Take 5 looms off. Do you ever see this trick?
Twist it out.
You take 5 looms off, right, and you swap it to your other hand. So spin the roll. 5 looms off again. Keep doing that.
Yeah, this now be used.
Now you can do 10 as long as you keep it even.
Yeah.
And I remember your man shouting. He was like, "Fucking idiot, that's going to be twisted all the way down." Like, and I was like, "No, just watch it." He put a bet on me. He goes, €50. I get this other roll. I roll it out. I'll have it done before you, and it'll be straighter. So I had it done in like 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. Sorry, about 5 minutes. And looks like it's in a pigtail all the way down. Now, we were on the big site in Wolftown Street, and so it was the full length of the building, like, it needed the full coil, full 100 meters. And he was like, "Look, told you, state of the loom, that cable's destroyed." And I said, "Just watch," and you just whip it, and the thing goes straight as an arrow.
I have to try this.
Oh yeah, no, it's brilliant. Like, but the lad that I didn't like originally taught me that. So even though I didn't really like him, he did teach me.
Picked up something.
Picked something
Like,
from him. Yeah,
It's a good one. I have like your man Pat again. That fella, he was figure of 8, unbelievable. Like taking off 150 meters of fiber optic cable. You drop it down on the ground in a figure of 8. Like, how is that going to come out? Come back,
Yeah.
You lift up the 2 rolls, flick it around, and it just undoes itself the whole way, and you drag it as an op for like you pulling it out of the ground, leaving it in a figure of 8, going to the next manhole, flick it over, and it just pulls all the way through, not hinking. Great job.
Yeah. Like, was it one of those things as well, like where, you know, they feel like they have to, you know, show out to you know, the next up and comers, like, you know what I mean, that they have to, you know, like broaden themselves out and say, look, I'm going to show this guy.
Oh yeah.
Here, like, but at the same time, you know, you knew, you know, what you were doing was right, like, and at the same time, you were able to put money to your mouth, like, and do.
I knew it was going to
when-
work, like, you know, 'cause I've done it loads of times.
The respect comes then after that, then, doesn't it? Like, where, like, you sort of put somebody in their place, like, and
Yeah, looking back now, maybe that's just the way he taught it.
Yeah.
That was just, maybe I didn't like it, the way he rubbed you up, but there was another time then he come, like, we were doing garden lights, and it's like, I was digging the truck, I was only out of my phase 2, I think, and he came and just clipped me across the ear, and he goes, what's the regulation depth on that? And I had it in the back of my head, don't ask me now.
Yeah.
I tell you, I think it was like 350 mil or something. And I said 350, I was like, all right, so I'll start digging at 350. He goes, no, you won't. 50 mil do you grand, like. I mean, well, like, at the same time, he gave you the reg. Wanted you to know that he knew the reg, but at the same time.
if you clip me on the ear again, it
Yeah.
rocks.
Yeah.
But like, that's it. It's like everybody has different experiences, and then it's how you take that bit of training in. Like, 'cause like I've mentioned, like many of the times with this, like I had it fairly rough. I remember being brought onto a site where they brought all the apprentices into one room, and you had to fight each other on the job. Like, you couldn't get out of the room, like, you know what I mean? And it's whoever lost was working Saturday or whatever. And now, like, there was no even issue. Some people wanted to work the Saturday, they wanted the extra cash, they just wanted to fight, like, you know what I mean? But you know, I made it my thing where, you know, the bad stuff that I learned through my apprenticeship, I was never going to take out with me and pass on again, because, and I've mentioned it to you, Key, as well, where, you know, treat somebody with a bit of respect. Like, you know, obviously, you know, it can't come back to bite you in the ass, like, sometimes, but, you know, treat somebody how you would like to be treated.
At least you a little bit, you know.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it'll come back. And like
90% of the time, if you treat someone with respect, you'll get the respect back.
And I just think it's one of those things as well. And we spoke about it now with doing the podcast and having a lot of we have a lot of interaction now with a lot of people through Instagram, you know, even through DMs, like, if it, albeit apprentices, where they'll put up, you know, stories to me and Keith, like, where, you know, they're sort of putting everything out on the table and saying, what do you think of this, like, or what should I do here, like, in this type of situation, you know what I mean? You're trying to take yourself back and think of, well, what would I have done in that situation when I was an apprentice? And, you know, it's hard one to tell somebody what to do. You know what I mean? Because
podcaster/counselor.
Yeah,
it is.
It's very hard. And at the end of the day, like, I mean, if somebody's having issues, you know, we've had conversations post interview, or, you know, where somebody's relayed a bit of information to Keith or to me, and I'll bounce ideas off Keith's head, and Keith will give me some ideas on it. But Keith then has, you know, the mindset of a business owner now. You know what I mean? And, you know, albeit you've gone through some struggles and stuff, like with your apprenticeship, you're now on the other side of it.
Other side of the coin, yeah.
You know, so, like, you can talk from both sides, where me, like, you know, I've had the experiences that I've had, and now I'm in a, say, like, a lead position within a company.
Yep.
We don't get apprentices coming through, so the only people I'm dealing with are other qualified lads, which can sort of boast their own issues as well, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be an apprentice, like, to have struggles within a group, like, you know?
Yeah.
So to get different people's, like you were saying there, like, somebody's tactics or mindset on something, and then somebody else's tactics and mindset on something, if you can take little bits away from everybody and just add the good bits to yourself, like, it'll be a good thing, like. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's still going to be bad eggs out there, you know what I mean? And you can't make an allowance for that, like, you know. But I don't know about yourself, Des, but, like, you've obviously worked on a lot of sites, big, small, like, what would be your preference?
It's a tough one. I just doing a lot of the conduit now lately again. I hadn't done it in a long time. Loved it back in the day, and I'm back loving it now. Like, so, yeah, probably the industrial side. Like, I've done a lot. I've traveled the world, like data centers, Norway, Hamburg, other places in Germany, and data centers, they're all right. Like the finished ones, but everything's artificial. You know, you come out, it was just dry, all the recycled air, and like I'd spend a week inside a comms cabinet, just terminate. It's great for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then your fingers are just destroyed. And then you could have like 200, 300, 400 points. You have to get them in, but then you just same. We'll go back to Pat again. You just keep going. And when you get to the end, you just look at it and you go, shit, that's it. But yeah, I'd love to be posting all that stuff, but you can't. You know, phones are locked away. Like, shout out real girl, HVAC girl. I put up a video. It's like, how did you do that? Because she just be in and out as well, you know. And I was in late one night, and the whole place turned off, and I just got a deadly video of everything just blinking. The lights went off. I was standing still, just down patch leads. I said, I'll get a shot of this, and she straight onto me. How did you get that?
I did 5 to 6 years in Intel, like in the fabs, you know.
In the fit outs?
In the full, like, so you'd be down in the sub fab, like you'd be doing the full connections, like, so you'd have all the racks coming in, like you'd be doing the racks, and then the company I was working for actually manufacture the chips, like, so we'd be up there, we'd be putting the etching tools together up in the fab. But the work we were doing, like, was unreal. Like, if you were able to get content on, it would have been amazing. Like, I mean, it's just like what you said, you can't, like, you know what I mean? And like spending hours in, like what you said, these recycled air fabs, like, and you're coming out, like, you'd walk a mile, like, in this place, like, to just start your job. Like, you know what I mean? You've got gowned up and you'd be walking a mile, then you're getting stars, then you realise, Jesus, like, drank too much there this morning, like, you know what I mean? I need to go to the toilet now, and you just
even talking to you, like, you know, not a lot of people would see what goes on in them places. Like you can only, what you're describing to me there, like, I wouldn't know, like, and I you used to ring me after work and stuff and describe what you were doing. I wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. So there's no content out there on it, like, you know.
Just very little, even, like, if you look it up, like, these jobs you used to do for fibre, they were like fibre patch leads, so it's non-protected fibre, just a single little coat. And it goes in Panju Raceway, and like, it's cost a fortune just for a bend, but it all just clicks together nicely. All you have to do is just make sure you cut it at 90, and everything just locks up. But you'd be coming across cabinets, and you'd be jumping up around the basket. There'd be about 20 bends, and it could be like 500 quid's worth of bends. And it just looks like it just looks like a big flow. And then you pull in a cable, and nothing gets snagged. It's just all smooth on the inside and flows around. And the piece of glass cable, just pull it in on the raceway, it's called. And some of my best jobs are all stuff like that.
Yeah.
Can't get pity. It's a pity that you can't show it.
It's like, it's those type of jobs, isn't it, where you finish them and you can step back and look at them. So it's like the satisfaction. And then, like what you said, now we're living in a world that's like
everything
completely all visual, like, you know what I mean? And everybody has to share every little thing they're doing. It's so hard not to
get that out,
document it, you know. You're fairly prominent now on Instagram. Like, at the best times, you get some good content up when you can, and
falling off a bit now.
Look, sure, everybody does. Like, I mean, even like he'll tell you, like, the Insight page before it was the podcast page was, it was only even written content at the start. It was just me trying to help apprentices out, just put diagrams up and wiring diagrams, and built on from there until I got the confidence, to put it up. And you know, starting the podcast has just opened my eyes up to, like, how difficult it is to maintain a constant, steady flow of content.
Good content. Going, holy shit, how are they doing?
How are they at the time? Yeah.
Good content, though, you know what I mean? Like, because, like, not all content is good content. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to be
biggest critic, like it's all right, you know?
Yeah. But look, I mean, you know, everybody can put up a bit of content of them wiring a socket or putting on a car charger or something like that. I think if there's some sort of educational aspect to it as well, like even the one there, like I shared it on Instagram of yourself, like just putting an earth rod into the ground, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's those deep dives
Yeah.
into how we actually do it, and not just I suppose the finished article. Like, so deep dives into systems and that as well. Like,
If I see something, that's how I learn, you know. If I see somebody doing it, so I throw my hand at anything on sites now. Like, if I get a bit of a down day, like this back in the day, I'd be watching tape and jointers, and I could do that now, you know. Like, I'll give it a shot, and it's all right, you know. Toil and the whole lot. So, but that's the way I learn. But yeah, I'd like to do more of that stuff. As you said earlier, it's tough enough having a tripod sitting there and
you're not looking around, and you're not supposed to be doing it.
or else you do like 20 videos and then you're missing the main video, you forget to do it, or you're in a rush or whatever.
Had either of you ever thought about getting into the lecturing end of it, or the training aspect of it, like officially? Has that ever crossed your mind?
I actually have often thought of sort of a practical sort of thing, you know, like it just popped into my mind, would it be any use? Because I went to Grinds with a lad, Jerry, when I failed an exam that time, and he was great. Little Jack Russell running around the car or the classroom. If you looked at the dog, he'd lose the throw things that you should be.
That's one way of teaching, yeah.
But yeah, I often popped into my mind just pondering, could you do anything like that? You know, like lads that are struggling, you know, because not everybody is good with the hands. They're great on paper, you know.
Like the visual aspect of it is great, and like we've obviously had John Doherty on, and we've mentioned him many times on the podcast, and hopefully we'll link in with him again. And like, you know, he does grinds like for, you know,
Yeah, my lads are using them as well, yeah.
And it's that difference of what you said, Dessie. Like, it's like somebody will be a whiz at the
exactly one side
of it. They just need that extra bit of support, and seeing somebody do it in front of you and then allowing you to do it in a comfortable space makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, I just don't know what I do with a disruptor in the class. That'd be my problem. You know, like not all of us are wired the same. Excuse the pun.
Yeah.
But there'd be lads in, you know, trying to fob their way through it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what way it'd be like that. But in terms of showing people how to do things, no, I'd love that. Like, you know, and even there last week I got the reg book out, so I've been meaning to read through it and just put me post-its on it, you know. So I need to find me regs for the notice of hazards. You know, the way you have to basically quote the number, you know, of the reg when you're highlighting things. But I found myself just like reading the book, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as daunting as it used to be. I don't think. Maybe it's just the old days or something creeping in.
It's one of those things like you wouldn't have picked up the book unless you really needed it, type of thing. And
that's what it was, yeah.
You know, there is people out there that would read that back to front because of pure enjoyment. Like, and I know you're saying, like, obviously you got interested in it because it's interesting you at the time, because it's something that's, you know, currently impacting you and your business, you know. But I think with the likes of regs, and we mentioned it before, like, you know, when you pull out the book like John Clare's or something like that, like, for people, they could open up a reg book and like mentally can't actually get through it, like, you know what I mean? Because by the time
it's reading, it's
a lot of reading, like, you know what I mean? And everyone has difficulties, you know what I mean?
We have a reg book and worked out. He's just everything is just there. It's just up there, and he's fires it out. He's great with all that, so I don't even have to open the book. Just give him it.
It was more when I start reading it was like, oh, that's grand. We're doing that right. Yeah. We're doing that right. And like, geez, if I ever encountered that, I must remember this thing.
Yeah.
Post it on it, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we got a bit of a, you know, not like a kick up the arse in a sense, like, but, you know, going over to eFix, you know what I mean? You're sitting with these guys, like, who are living and breathing every day, you know what I mean?
They are those ones, yeah.
And, you know, you can tell, like, that if you got one thing wrong, you were going to be pulled on it, you know. And I think we were on the way over in the airport, was it? And we were trying to figure out what the right word was for a certain
selecting the size of the breakers.
Yeah. I think I said the wrong word. Like,
I said discrimination.
Yeah.
I think it was right.
Something on them lines.
Yeah, along that. Yeah, and they picked it up and said, "No, it's not that." Like,
oh, we sat there for ages. Like, it can't be discrimination. It's not discrimination.
But yeah, like at that stage, like, you know, you second guess everything you're doing, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think even at that stage, you walk away from situations like that thinking, I wish I had the, you know, the want to
Yeah.
sit there and learn it all. But I think everybody, like you mentioned before, you learn differently. And if you learn visually, you're never going to take that in through a book that's just all words, like, you know?
No.
That's why the book is there though as well. It's great that you can just flick
Yeah.
back through. It's not like top secret that fella knows everything, you know, that way.
Yeah. That's the whole idea of the post. It's like you're not going to remember it, so you need to put the post-its there to go back and you know, jog the memory.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever think of going out on your own?
I have, yeah. I'm all right where I am now at the moment. It's cushy enough, you know, nice flame work, and I done a lot of the crap back in the day, and yeah, I done, as I said, I was in and out. I done everything. I've made no solar stuff like that, but big cables, small cables, house bashing, industrial,
Yeah.
retail, stinking little restaurants, you know. Shit work now as well. I'd be guilty of doing shit work just to get, because they wouldn't pay, you know, that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm happy enough where I am at the moment.
Yeah, it's like, what was the push for you was probably just other people sort of poking at you.
Yeah, you should go out on your own. We'll have this much work for you, so then just kind of just happen then, you know what I mean? So it's hard to turn it down when you're asked a good few times and then you're not quite happy where you are. Do you know what I mean? Or you're being made a bit of an idiot where you are, probably doing too much. So that was it for me. And sure, look, that's not for everyone either. Like, you could have been asked and not been bothered either. So it was obviously something there.
Yeah, but never say never, you know, that way. Like, I'd say I could handle it, you know. I've seen lads though that I thought would be great, and then just fall.
Yeah, it's not everything it's cracked up to be, and look at that. That's all I'll say.
You hear that from a lot of lads that do it. You know.
People think you're because you're doing it, you're flush, like, but it's yeah, it's not that at all, like, you know. It's a lot of hours as well, you know what I mean? So
I just see it, yeah, lads not switching off and just coming in like red face.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you must be flush being out to do podcasts. And
Yeah. Let's go home, probably do a couple of search down as well.
You've got a Electex coming up now soon. Is that something that you enjoy going to?
I was over there twice, I think, or once anyway. Yeah, the RDS one, the same thing. I'd definitely give it a go this year. Thursday and Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're doing the Wednesday, Thursday, I think, this year, isn't it?
Wednesday, Thursday.
We're invited to it now. We're doing a little bit of a talk up on stage for 30 minutes now over the.
Doing my best to get over there.
Yeah, might drag you up.
Yeah, as I said to you, I go red top in the morning.
Never mind 300.
You walk away with much stuff at those shows.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, like I love just seeing what's coming out there, all the new stuff and all that. And again, it was a good chat on the regs the time I was there. What's new and what you should be doing, the RCBOs and all that different stuff.
Yeah.
Blinding them and all. It was a good chat about that. It was packed actually. There was a lot of people, a lot of lads taking notes and stuff. But,
yeah, it's an interesting one because, like, obviously, you know, you've got the group of people that just want to leave with the goodie bags, you know,
I
want to
know.
get in.
Running in the door. First,
Getting their pens and leaving.
Yeah, getting the pens, a few pictures, and back out the door again. Like, but that's it. Like, if you have a select thing that you're going to learn something from it, I think it's definitely inundated with, you know.
We're gonna
manufacturers.
talk about the manufacturers themselves and how they can, you know, link in with contractors and I suppose the on-site workers. So that's something we're going to be chatting about anyway.
Bridging the gap, like, and I think having Robbins here behind us as well, like, you know, as a manufacturer themselves, and, you know, the links that we can have with the podcast, and, you know, probably even the likes of Gary O'Neill or anybody else coming through. They said they'd jump up and have a chat, like, our end users, and, you know, we'd be not hard pushed to find an L influencer there that we can get up as well, like, you know. So
if I'm available, I'll do it, lads. Robbins looked after me, so I would like to look after them, you know.
yeah, now look, we're definitely, as I said, we don't really get many offers, like, to do things that, you know, are going to push us out of our comfort zone. And as I said to Keith, and I've said to Emmet that's on as well. And, you know, it's something that we want to do is get this to a stage eventually, and to be able to stand up on, you know, a platform like an RDS, like
Yeah.
trade show, like, is definitely another
Step
step
in the right
towards that,
direction,
you know?
yeah.
I can see you having your own trade show, lads. You are doing great.
I don't know what we're trading,
yeah.
trading bullshit.
Trade bullshit, yeah, for free.
But look, for anybody looking to, you know, find out a bit more about what you do or what you don't do,
What
Uh,
don't do?
where can they find you?
Usual TikTok, Instagram mainly. I only tip out of TikTok here and there. It's a treacherous game there. You want hard skin being in there. You make any grown man cry in the comments there. But yeah, that's Instagram really. Yeah, I'd like to get a bit out on that.
We'll find you there. Then we'll stick your Instagram handle into the show notes anyway.
Cheers, lads.
And delighted to talk to you, Emmy.
We'll see you at the show.
Yeah, hope so.
On stage.
And we won't let you go anyway without getting your Spotify song choice. So we ask each guest that comes on to add one song to the playlist. What would your song choice be?
We go with Rich Men North of Richmond. Yeah. Oliver Anthony, I think it is.
Great tune, yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's a good start to the playlist for this season anyway.
Yeah.
And appreciate you coming on.
Thanks very much.
Hopefully you enjoyed the
I did. Thoroughly.
alcohol-free Guinness.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that, lads. Thank you.
No problem at all. And look, I guess we'll play you out now to your song choice. Take it easy.
Thanks, lads.
Thanks very much, Dessie.
Right, Keith. That was great having Dessie on the first Overload segment of season 4.
Yeah, it was brilliant getting to finally meet him, because I've been on Instagram chatting to him about his tools and me wanting to get his tools and the like. So it was great to get him in. What an absolute gent he is as well.
Yeah, it was great even to be able to get him into the Robbins headquarters here, give him a bit of an informal tour around of the visitor centre upstairs. A couple of Guinnesses on the table, packs of Tato, proper dub session.
That's what they call wining and dining in Dublin, isn't it? A pint of Guinness and a bag of Tato.
Yeah, I just think it definitely puts a good start to season 4 now, and can't wait to move on now and get some more people in here and let them experience what we're experiencing now.
Yeah, and good opportunity for, you know, people who want to see the Robbins HQ come in, jump on with us. Maybe we'll have our challenge wall ready for next week, and take in the experience. Have a Guinness with us.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I guess without further ado, we'll just keep this episode rolling, and we'll get our next guest in, Emmet Brennan, for the special guest interview segment.
Sounds good to me.
The guest interview segment, now on Insight, the Stripped Back podcast.
Emmet, thanks for joining myself and Keith on the first episode of season 4 in the new studio that we have here in Robbins headquarters in Dublin, Ireland.
Thanks for having me. It's a cracking studio, by the way. The lads done well.
Yeah, brilliant to have you on. And there's a lot of people at home that we've been talking to the last couple of weeks. Looking forward to hearing your story, and appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, look, obviously I'm happy to be here. Robbins as well, they've helped me along the way, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I think myself and Keith starting off doing the podcast in the van, and you know, out of Keith's box room and anywhere we can do it, like to be able to, you know, have the name Robbins on our t-shirts and on the wall here and our name on the wall with them, like it's a surreal feeling, like. So
now having Emmet Brennan.
Yeah, the name just is pulling in the big guns down for us. But look, we won't change how we do it, because obviously we're doing something right, I guess. And what we usually do is we ask each guest to sort of just take things back a little bit. let our listeners know a bit about their upbringing. Obviously you're a Dublin lad. If you want to even give us and our listeners a bit of an insight into what it was like growing up in inner city Dublin and what your experience was like growing up.
Yeah, so from Dublin's in that city, I would have had a great childhood. But as I was mentioning to you there, like Dublin is a lot different that now, especially in that city than what it was probably 20 or 30 years ago. It was a lot rougher back then, and my mother especially, she would have sheltered us as kids, just so we didn't go down the wrong road. And as I said earlier as well, like it's good, but it also gives people problems. And I think as a kid, maybe not because I was sheltered, maybe for other reasons, or maybe it's just the way I was born. I was quite an introverted kid and very, very awkward. And I found it very hard to socialise and be around other kids. And I can always remember like hate being in groups, hating being around people. But the one place I felt comfortable was playing sport. So from as early as I can remember, 5 or 6, I always had a football by my feet. I was always running around. I was always doing something. It's just something that I felt really comfortable with. And I had a natural talent for football, weirdly enough. I ended up a boxer. I was quite good at soccer as a kid. And again, I think my mother realised that I probably was a very socially awkward kid, and I did thrive in sport, and she done everything for me. She threw me into every sport. Didn't matter where it was, when it was, she was bringing me there. So as a kid, I done soccer, I done Gaelic, I done hurling, judo, basketball, table tennis, probably a few other things thrown in there. I done that and just to keep myself occupied.
Yeah.
I eventually, when I got to around 8 or 9, soccer became like the sole sport, and I played at that. I played with Belvedere, great football club. When I was around 10 or 11, left Belvedere, I went to Shelbourne. But it was at either Belvedere or Shelbourne. As I mentioned, I was very awkward. I hated being in groups. And I was also that introverted that I'd never really pick up for myself. So if anything was going wrong, I never got bullied, but if there was a fight around, I'd be the first person to run away. I wouldn't know what to do. And I was playing, it was actually with Belvedere, and I got a dig in the back of the head, and I turned around and I just started crying, didn't know what to do. My dad was like straight away, he was like, look, you're going down to the boxing club, you need to learn how to defend yourself. My father was very good friends with Jimmy Halpin, who was the coach in St. Saviour's, so he was like, look, bring you up to St. Saviour's, just see how you get on. And I can remember the first night I walked in there, as I said, an introverted kid, very socially awkward kid. I loved it. Straight away, if anyone knows what boxing clubs were like 23 years ago now, they were old, they were smelly, they were sweaty, very far away from what they are now. But I loved it straight away. It was like something out of a Rocky film. That's how I would describe it. I got hooked on it straight away, and probably within a year or two, I started to realise that I was coming out of my shell. I was comfortable around groups, wasn't socially awkward anymore. I could pick up for myself. And I just, from there on, I ended up gone away from the football and took up boxing full time from around 13, 14. Again, it was a great childhood, but most of my childhood from 11, 12, 13 onwards was revolved around boxing. Revolved around being in the boxing club, going on trips, doing everything I could to be a better boxer. The weird thing about it was I wasn't a great boxer as a kid. I was always second best in Ireland, which is still good, but I was never like naturally talented to where I was the best in Ireland, but I was a very hard worker. That's mad you say that, going from, I suppose, a predominantly team-based sport and then going into boxing, which is nearly known to be the most lonely sport. So it just probably backs up that you had like a great team behind you, and there is kind of a team ethic behind it. Yeah, and I think only at the time I wouldn't realise, and it's like 20 years later, I probably realised why I loved the boxing so much. So the other sports that I mentioned, the soccer, the Gaelic, the hurling, the basketball, they were all team sports. And as I said, I was very good at soccer, but
if I went out to play a match on a Saturday and we won 7-0 or 7-2, wherever it was, yeah, I had a part of playing it, but it wasn't down to me. Also, the same thing, if we lost 3-1 or 2-1, I could have having a game in my life, but everyone else let me down. Do you get me?
Yeah, I get
But
it.
when I went to the boxing club, it was down to me.
Get you.
It gave me, I think that's where I probably got the confidence in that from, because it gave me that little bit of independence. Looking back at it, I probably realised straight away what I put into the sport, I got out of it. And it definitely, there's no doubt about it, it's shaped who I am today.
You only have to answer to yourself, really. Like,
Of course. Yeah.
Did you find, like, obviously you mentioned the, going out on the football pitch and, a team effort in a sense, and, then going into the boxing club and knowing that everything that you've put in and got out of it then is everything based on what you've done solely. Like, so do you find that you strived for the self-satisfaction rather than, the team, wins, the self wins were worth more to you?
Yeah, 100%. Like, it again, like, if I go into an All-Ireland Championships and I know I've given 100%, I can sort of deal with not winning that. Obviously, I don't want to not win, and no one likes losing, but if I know I done everything right and I perform well on the night and I really gave her 100%, I know that I gave everything to win. But as I said, if you're going out playing soccer, especially as you get older, there's people going out drinking on a Friday and they're playing on a Saturday, and everyone's not 100% committed. So yeah, it's something that I do like about boxing, but something that I definitely noticed over the last 10, 11, 12 years, although boxing is an individual sport, your team dictate a lot of your own success. So over the last 10, 11, 12 years, I've been surrounded with winners.
Yeah.
Every club I've gone to over the last few years, we've had a core group of 5, 6, 7 people at different weights, but they're all extremely ambitious, extremely good, extremely dedicated, and done whatever it takes to win. And that definitely has played a role in me being somewhat successful in the sport.
Yeah, well, I've noticed that even with my own son, he's 15, he plays for Dundalk, but he obviously went up, he was at Balbriggan, went to Home Farm, did the bows and Drogheda as well. But what I like about it is a high level sport with, like what you said there, with other players that have the same mindset, who are winners, who want to win. So I'd even noticed that even at his early young age, that to keep him at that level, just going to project him forward.
Yeah, you need to be surrounded by winners. Like, you need to be surrounded with people that are almost willing to shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
They back themselves. Like, when I was in the Irish, when I got onto the Irish team, the high performance unit, I was around 20, 30 people that all that they thought about was being Olympians, day in, day out. And the second I went onto that team to the boxer I am now, I'm a completely different boxer, a lot better than what I was 7 or 8 years ago. It's from being in that winning form. It's being around winners.
Yeah.
You're talking about being in with winners, and obviously you were talking about going into the clubs at a young age. St. Saviour's would be one that I've heard you mention before in other interviews, and to talk about like the small percentage of individuals that will ever make it to an Olympics, even in any type of sport. In regards to boxing, you would have been around, you would have had contact with other Olympians. At the time, I think it was like Darren Sutherland who'd been in the gym that you were in, the late great Darren. And I'm just wondering, being around those type of characters at a young age coming up, was it a privilege for yourself, or did you recognise the privilege at the time? Or
Yeah, he was special. Definitely recognised at the time. Like, I looked up to him. He was a god to me, and I think, again, you're looking back 20 years later, it's such a privilege to be around someone like that. And as a kid, again, you don't realise at the time, but your environment dictates your dreams. So I had 2 dreams in life from the age of 10, 11, 12. One was to be an Irish elite champion, and the other was to be an Olympian. And when I look back, they were the people that I was training with day in, day out. So they've obviously ingrained something into my brain that's the dreams that I had. And look, you're talking, it took me 20 years later to become an Olympian. So Darren himself must have having some sort of special presence in myself that I was still look to be an Olympian 20 years later. The thing about him was he was an extremely gifted fighter, which, look, he was probably 1 in a million in terms of fighter, but he done everything right. If you think of a high performance athlete, a winner, like if you're looking that up in the dictionary, that's who you'd see.
Yeah.
Done everything right. I can even remember him. He wasn't living up to his own standards, or he wasn't training at his own standards, and he pulled himself out of the national championships. To pull yourself out of the national championships, if I was to tell my coach that I'm not going to the national championships, he nearly told, get out of the club. He went in and he said, look, I haven't been holding myself to these standards. I'm pulling myself out. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks before. It's actually a little documentary about it on YouTube, and the coaches can't believe it. They're like, what's happening here? But he was that special. I think that was in like 2005, 2006. 2 or 3 years later, he's an Olympic bronze medalist. So I was very lucky, very privileged to be surrounded by him, to be in his environment, to see what a winner does day in, day out. And it definitely shaped who I am today.
And what's the journey from, walking in as a 10, 11-year-old kid into the gym, getting the head dug off you, and then ending up where you are now? Like, what's the journey from that age to where you are now?
I suppose I can only look at my own personal journey. Has been so many ups and downs, a lot more lows than highs. I suppose it's probably there's something in me, like it's probably the lows that keep me going, strangely enough, because like what I said there, I was always second best in Ireland. I think up until I was age 20, I had 8, 9 or 10 runners-up medals in all Irelands. That meant I got to the final hurdle 8, 9 or 10 times and got beaten. Fell at the last hurdle, got beaten. What you have to do, you have to brush yourself off and go again.
Yeah.
What that does as a kid, you're building resilience. You're dealing with adversity as a young kid. And later on in life, whether it's either sport or it's work or it's relationships or whatever it may be, that will come back and it will help you. You don't realise at the time again, but that really helped me. I was coming back year after year after year. I suppose age 20, I ended up leaving St. Davis. For me, I just thought the club was changed and it wasn't going in the direction that I was going. I was there for 10 years and I was just missing out every year. My coach had left St. Davis and went to a different club, so I followed him and I went full-time training with Jimmy, and within 6 months I won my first All-Ireland. As I said earlier, two of my dreams was to be an All-Ireland, an Irish elite champion and an Olympian. My first All-Ireland came at age 20, but it wasn't an elite title. It was like an under 22 or an intermediate. But it gave me the belief and the courage that maybe in the next 3 or 4 years I can be up at elite level. A year later, I won my second Irish title. One was the under 22s, and the year later was the intermediate title. So intermediate is the level underneath elite level. So this meant now I'm in with the big guys. I'm in with the top guys at age 22. But got to age 22. Like what you gotta do, you gotta go out and earn a few quid. I was doing an apprenticeship at the time, and I just had a lot less time to train because I was leaving the house at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was getting back at 6:30 and training at 7, so I couldn't really train full time anymore. Again, I was getting to that level where the guys that I was fighting were really, really good. So you gotta be training full time to compete with this. I was sort of going through a lot of things mentally. I didn't really like the apprenticeship, but we were just out of recession where there was no jobs going. So it was like, go out and earn a few quid. I ended up stop boxing then at age 22, 23. I was never 100% out of the club. So I'd go down maybe, I might go down for 2 or 3 days 1 week, then you mightn't see me for 6 weeks. Then I might go down for 2 or 3 days and you mightn't see me for a week, then I'll come and I'll go. I was doing that for 2 or 3 years. I was never dedicated to it, but I was away from the sport. And then I was actually working over in Amsterdam I would have been age 24, 25. what's it, my nephew was 8, so it would have been 8-9 years ago. I was going through a horrible time. I was gambling a lot. I was drinking a lot. I was working abroad in Amsterdam away from me family, and I was going through just so much emotions. I was dealing with depression, and the one thing that I realised that kept me going, and the one thing that sort of gave me focus and stability in my life was boxing. So I made the decision when I was in Amsterdam that I was going to go back, and I was going to try become an Olympian because it was my dream. So I came back from Amsterdam. I think it was about a year and a half later before I actually got back fighting. I entered the Elite Championships in January 2017. Can't see into the future. In January 17, I entered the Elite Championships. So I got back to me dreams as being a champion. I entered them, but I entered them with a completely different mindset that I had previously. I entered them with the mindset that I believe in myself. I'm going to give everything I can to win. And I won them. I won 3 fights in 2 weeks against the top fighters in Ireland at my weight, 75 kilos. And what this done for me at age 25, this got me onto the Irish high performance team.
Yeah.
Someone to even, I'd never fought for Ireland at age 20. I got to age 25, never had one fight for Ireland. That's, if you haven't really fought for Ireland at that stage, you're looking at retirement. Like, you're not really going to make it. Or else you're just doing it for fun. You're doing it to keep your head straight.
Yeah.
But I had a dream in the next 3 or 4 years that I was going to become an Olympian. It was mad, and I suppose you have to be mad to believe in that dream. But I truly believed in it. That wasn't for 1 second. I wasn't just saying it to people so they thought I was doing the right thing. I 100% believed it. And over the next 3 or 4 years, I went over an incredible journey of more ups and a lot more downs, and eventually in 2021 I became an Olympian.
Amazing. And do you think that time away from the boxing sort of moulded the ambition to get there? Do you think if you had stuck with it, you would have got there eventually, or do you think that actually was the driving factor?
I think it's the driving factor in who I am today. So as I said, I was suffering with depression, and I was living a life that I didn't really enjoy. I was doing an apprenticeship again. Nothing wrong with an apprenticeship, but it wasn't for me. As I mentioned to you earlier, I got a bad apprenticeship. So I was in a job that I didn't particularly like. On top of that, I was actually learning nothing. I was useless at my job. So my self-esteem would have been quite bad. And when I left the company that I didn't really learn much of and went to a new company, like I was a 4-year apprenticeship. There's 4-year apprenticeships that knew more than me. So as you can imagine, my self-esteem during that time was terrible. But then from age 25 onwards, I started to believe in myself. So it was like, my mom was grateful and happy for them bad years that I had, because I don't think I'll ever go back to that person again.
It nearly goes back to your mother sticking you in all the different sports, you know what I mean? And, dipping your toe in different things. Like, you're obviously, you're boxing, you loved it and all, but you obviously, you needed to earn a few quid, and you went doing the work, you know what I mean? You went doing the apprenticeship, and obviously a little bit of a bad experience with it. Obviously it led you on to doing different things, but things you didn't want to be doing. And then I suppose led you back to the boxing, which is just like your mother, I suppose, doing, and what most mothers do. They'll try out with anything. I know my young lad even had him break dancing there when he was younger. Like, we still slag him about it today, but like, it's still an experience, you know what I mean?
I don't think kids at the time, or young adults at the time, realise how much effort a parent is actually putting in behind the scenes in your dream,
100% it molds you. Like, I'm fighting now in 2 or 3 weeks, and my father can't go. He's going to a wedding in Spain. I'll give him a little bit of stick over it, but it's probably the first fight in Ireland that he's ever missed. I've been boxing for 23 years. He's drove me all over the country. He's gone to Ukraine to see me box. He's gone all over the world to see me box. Like, the effort that man has put into me, and same my mother. Like, I'm 23 years of age. My mother cooks me food, me dinner most days of the week.
Lived your life, babe.
At 23 years of age, like, it's embarrassing for me, but like, that's what it takes for me to be a full-time athlete. She still says that, like, the work that they do for me, you can never thank them enough, and you are probably doing it for your kids.
I hope they have it on the big screen at the wedding, do they? They definitely will.
I've given him a bit of stick over it, but he's not happy with me.
I was at a wedding for Kelly Harrington there, and they had it up. They had it up on a little screen in the middle of the table. Nobody was paying attention to the wedding at all. Like, you know what I mean?
I was talking about Kelly Harrington. Obviously, you went over. I seen it on your social.
Yeah.
You had that experience of what it was like for that gold-winning performance, you know, and everybody in Ireland behind him. But obviously, your experience was different. It was COVID, you know. COVID had just hit, like, so. Could you give us an idea of what your experience was like being in an Olympics where there were so many restrictions involved?
Yeah, so obviously I went over to look at the Olympics this time, and so I bought the tickets a year ago for Kelly's final. No one saw that she was going to be in the final because she's that good. Then about 2 weeks before we went there, do I actually want to go? Like, because as I mentioned there, my dreams in boxing was to be an Olympian. I never really had these dreams to be a professional boxer, although I'm a professional boxer now. And when I came away from Tokyo, I had the decision, do I want to go for Paris or do I want to turn professional? I wanted to go for Paris, but the average male Olympic that makes it for boxing in the Olympics is age like 23 or 24. So I would have been 9-10 years past my peak. And I just made a more realistic decision and went professional. So, and then you're talking about the Tokyo Olympics. It was my dream to get there, and I eventually got there. And I don't want to be ungrateful, but it wasn't the experience that I thought I was going to get.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. Again, you got to be grateful because it happened. But looking back, it was a great time in my life. It was a great time in my family's life. As we mentioned there, that my father going all over the country with me, my mother doing everything. I'm more so happy for them than I was myself. Because when I got there, it was almost like an anticlimax because you're sort of taken away from everyone. There's no crowds.
Yeah.
There's not what I've done all this hard work for. And then obviously I went to Paris there 2 weeks ago, and it was almost like a little bit green. Like I was like, little bit, I was a bit envious.
Yeah.
But then when you see Kelly win and gold medal, you can't be anything but happy for her. But I would do anything to get the experience that they got. Like the crowds they were fighting in front of, the way they were welcomed by the French. It was a great games. But going back to Tokyo, it was an anticlimax, but I'm just grateful that.
Yeah, and I guess like it paves, like Keith mentioned before, and you mentioned yourself about, you know, negative aspects in your life, just being another sort of chink in your armour then to sort of pave ways forward for yourself then for success, you know?
Of course, and it's only, although as I said, I was a bit like envious of them in Paris, it was probably only in Paris when I realised that I'm an Olympian and what I've actually done.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the quality of the boxing that was in the Olympics, and I was like, I got there 3 years ago. I went on through a hell of a story to get there. This is the level that I'm at, and I was nowhere near that level 4 years previous to the Olympics. So I sort of gave myself a little bit of a pat on the back and said, well done. And I was only, probably without going to Paris and saying that, that would have never happened. So again, I'm grateful for the experience of Paris as well.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surreal thing, wasn't it? The Olympics during COVID, even like us wasn't the Premier League. Like waited 20 years for Liverpool to win Premier League, and then it was during COVID. No one could go and see it, but so I kind of have a little. I know it's nothing like that, but it's just a little bit like,
yeah.
You know?
As a United fan, I was delighted.
Yeah, you was right.
But obviously, you know, sports come with injuries. Within boxing, it can be obviously more detrimental, more tougher to get over. And you know, you went into the Olympics with an injury, which might have not have had you at 100% in a sense going in, and mentally in your mindset going in, was that something that stuck with you on the way in, or was that put to the side going into the tournament?
Like mentally, so for me, when I'm looking at people's skills. I think they have like mental skills, they have physical skills, and they have technical skills. For me, mentally, I'm so headstrong, especially in terms of boxing. So I was badly into going into the Olympic Games, but I never saw or let that sway from the idea that I was going to win fights. Like, my goal was to get a medal in the Olympics, and I fully believed I was. Again, yeah, a little bit probably of a dream of even thinking of that, but that's what you got to do if you want to get to the top. But yeah, I got a shoulder injury, I had a rib injury, an elbow injury, and like a neck injury. Like if I was in the Olympic Games, I wouldn't have been fighting. But you got one chance at this. You got to just brush everything off. Like, we were in the training camp about an hour outside of Tokyo for 3 weeks, and I trained on a spinning bike. I done a spinning bike and a little bit of weights while the rest of the lads and girls were sparring. So it wasn't easy looking at this, and you're in a training camp with other countries. So there's another few lads in your weight that's there. They know you're injured because you're not sparring. So you're actually sparring with the people that you're going to compete against. That's who you spar when the lead up.
Jesus, no.
Which a lot of people wouldn't. So like, a lot of the people that fought there in the last Olympics, they would have sparred each other in camps coming up to it, so they know each other.
Yeah.
But I'm in a camp and I'm not sparring, so obviously the lads know I'm injured. That was probably the toughest thing probably to deal with. But again, I was mentally so strong. I done a little bit of work with Kevin McMahon, who was he done all the mental work with us, and he just sort of sat me down, and we sort of went through a fight in my head, not actually throwing punches. But that did actually help. It helped me get in the mind frame. So while the other lads were sparring, he'd bring me down to the hall where they were sparring. I'd be listening to the noises of them sparring and the hits going, and he'd be going through a fight in my head. That's how we train for the Olympic Games.
That's mad.
But look, again, it's part of the story. I also had when the draw came out, I fought the world silver medalist, so I wanted like an easier draw. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Again, it's all part of the story. But the second I heard the draw, I know he said down course, but I thought, oh fuck, he's from Uzbekistan, silver medalist. I think this is gonna be a tough one. But within 2 or 3 seconds, I genuinely believed in my head that I was gonna beat him. Didn't happen.
He would have just been one you'd have to take down later on in the competition anyway.
You would have happened to get him later on, but by then you would have gotten a little bit of momentum.
Down, yeah.
But look, it's all part of the story. It is what it is. Probably a few months after, I would have been probably down over it, but now it's in the past.
Well, like, with any other Olympics, would you have been able to leave after your loss? Like, I know, like, at the time,
you'd never leave. Like, I'm at the train with these lads and these girls for the last 3 or 4 years. Although my dreams are after ending, I want to go and support them. So I got to see Kelly win an Olympic gold medal. I got to see Aidan Walsh be a bronze medalist. I got to see some of the other teammates win fights at the Olympic Games. So, as you mentioned, there is an individual sport where you train day in, day out. These are the people that push you. So it was great to see them from an unselfish point of view. It was great to see them realise their dreams.
Right. And I suppose when the dust settled in Tokyo, obviously you had to go back to normal life. What was that like for you, coming down from such a high, being in around the Olympics?
Yeah, for me, I found it very tough. So the part that I found tough was, I've got 20 years of my life to this. No one gave me a chance of qualifying. I defied all that odds, and I did qualify. When I got there, my body let me down. That's the thing that I found very, very difficult to deal with. And then on top of that, this big, audacious goal is now gone. So I've nothing to look forward to. I've no structure in my life. I've nothing to focus on. And I eventually just end up drinking a lot. End up going back gambling, going to bars 3-4 times a week. And it was just something that hook a hold of me. And because I didn't have that focus and I didn't have something to look forward to, I couldn't pull myself back out of it. And eventually just ended up going down a long dark road, and ended up going on a bender for about 7-8 months.
Yeah.
But again, it's part of the story. I don't drink anymore, and it's probably shaped who I am today. So looking back on it, I think it definitely didn't only happen to me. There's a large percentage of Olympians that go to the Olympics and come back and suffer mentally because that big audacious goal is gone. Probably I would have hoped that Team Ireland would have helped us a little bit more. Didn't happen. And I hope with the current crop that just finished the Olympics that they might be doing something with them.
I was about to say that, like, is there no, like, after, no, I wouldn't say aftercare, but, like, you know, a kind of a thing put in place that they maybe, like, weaning you off all of that training, all that hype. But I can only imagine what it's like, you know. Like, obviously, we've never been at anything that big or important in our lives.
There wasn't anything like that. Now, they'd always mentioned before that there will be, and then when it came to it, there wasn't. They went completely away from the amateur setup. So I would hope that they do have something in place. I suppose the other side of the coin was I was 30. I wasn't a 21-year-old kid. I was supposed to be an adult at the time, so I should have dealt with it a lot better. But again, there's no crash course now to do with these things. I didn't deal with it the correct way. I learned from my mistakes, and it's all a part of life. And as I mentioned earlier, it shapes the person that I am today. I think, again, similar to when I was like 22, 23, 24, and I was doing all that messing, it sort of gives me that motivation and the discipline to train day in, day out, and I'm giving everything to be the best professional boxer I am now. Maybe if that didn't happen post-Olympics, I wouldn't be 100% who I am right now. So it's another thing that you just take as life experience, and you just sort of have to grow over.
Was there a moment that you can remember, like a shining light moment that, you know, while you were in the depths of, you know, self-destruction in a sense?
It was self-destruction, so I'm the master of self-destruction. Yeah. Again, don't really self-destruct anymore, but at the time I was the master of it. Yeah, I was over in New York. I'd actually planned on moving to New York in like February, March 2022, and I was over there for like 2 or 3 months, and this is when the drinking really took hold of me. I was over there, and I was like, and we spent to New York. It's like a place where you can just drink around the clock. Like, it's like
24/7.
Yes, 24/7. So at the start, it was grand. When I first got there, I was actually doing a little bit of training. I got shoulder surgery, so I was doing rehab. I was talking to people about going pro, and after about 2 or 3 weeks, I just got comfortable.
Yeah.
That really drinking really heavy, going out all the time. Before I knew, I was drinking 7 days a week, and my mother was over there, just happened to be on holidays when I was over there. I had about maybe 2 weeks to go, and she turned up and she seen me. She hadn't seen me in 2 months, and like, I was obviously lying to her on the phone, telling her, yeah, going train this morning, it was great. Going to meet a promoter. Now, I was going to meet promoters, but telling her, like, she thought I was living the dream. She turned up and seen me. I was still out from the night before, so I just finished like a 12-hour drinking session. Turned up to meet her in Times Square, and like, I can still remember her face. I say this all the time. I can still remember her face, and she was distraught, and she didn't really hold back. Like, she didn't go through me, but I knew by her face that I'd sort of messed up, and I was like, grand, right, this is it. I gotta stop drinking. I got to try to get myself back together and start boxing. I had like 10 days left in New York, and I just went on an absolute bender for 10 days. Came back to Dublin on May 3rd, 2022, and haven't drank since. So it's been over 2 years. I suppose the last few months, I actually walked in. I was over in London there about 2 months ago, looking at the boxing club fighting. For some reason, I got into my head that I wanted to drink. It was actually the first day of the Euros. There was just loads of people out socialising. I was walking through Soho in London, and it was packed, and everyone was doing that thing. I was like, you know what, I'm going to have a drink. Walked into a bar, went up to the bar, and suddenly just got a light bulb moment. I was like, what are you doing? Turned around and walked out. probably definitely the best thing I could have done.
So that takes a lot of strength to do that. I know, I'm the exact same. Like,
Yeah, like the thing is, it'd probably be a lot easier if I was an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic, so
yeah.
for me, if I was an alcoholic, I'd know I can't have a drink. But in my head, I still play with the thoughts of having a drink. And when I do, a part of the reason why I don't drink is because I want to be the best professional boxer I can. I know time is against me. I'm 33. I have 3 to 4 years left in the sport. Drinking's not going to get me where I want. Yeah, so I've no time. I've no time for all that. When I eventually retire from boxing, I can have me few beers or a glass of wine here.
Straight to New York.
Straight to New York, yeah. So, but for now, it's just about focusing on being the best athlete I can, because as you said there, I have no time to waste.
Personal choices for personal goals, isn't it?
Yeah, and like, it's near enough bringing you back to surround yourself with winners. If I was someone else and I wanted to get to the top of the sport, I think, would I want to be surrounded by Emmet, Brennan? And I think right now, I would say yeah.
Yeah. We are talking about winners there. Your second professional fight, you got to walk out into the Tree Arena with Katie Taylor. There's no better winner than that to be walking around with.
Yeah, so like for me, this was almost like redemption. So I went to the Olympic Games. It wasn't the experience that I wanted. I didn't get what I wanted out of it. My family weren't there. My friends weren't there. My coaches and my teammates weren't there. So this was almost like redemption for me. It was my second professional fight. I was fighting a kilometre from my house in the inner city. Sold a lot of tickets and won a title in my second fight. It wasn't better than the Olympic Games because that was always my dream, but it was a close second. An unbelievable experience. I got my nephew who has motivated me so much in life and in boxing. I got him into the ring after with me, and it was a special family moment.
Yeah,
family
brilliant.
was going through a lot at the time as well, so it was a close second in my boxing career, and I'm very lucky to get to do it again the next few weeks.
Yeah, look, I had sorry, I was cutting across you. So I had a conversation with my brother-in-law, and like, me and Stephen wouldn't be, we are boxing fans from big fights and stuff like that, and we knew you were, we knew you were coming on, and but I was talking to him, and he tried to emphasise how well you're doing to be able to fight. You have another fight coming up in the Tree Arena. He said to be able to get into the Tree Arena twice in such a short professional career, he said that lad he's doing something brilliant.
Yeah, so like I think in the last 10 years, there's only been 3 boxing shows in the Tree Arena. And I'm not this will be the second one that I'm boxing on. So, look, again, I'm grateful for it, but you don't just get put on these shows.
Yeah.
If I never got to the Olympics, I wouldn't have gotten on the show. So I've done all the hard work. I've done all the work in the background to get there. Professional boxing as well, it's a business. It's not about how good you can box. It's about selling tickets. It's about marketing yourself. Surround yourself with the right team. So I got a manager over in London, Darren Barker, who's top quality. He's a former world champion, and he worked for The Zone, who's the broadcaster for Matchroom. So I've sort of fell on my feet with him, and I'm the only person that he actually manages, which is great.
Yeah.
So he's sort of opening the doors for me, but all he can do is open the doors. When I get to the Tree Arena, I have to do the work. So going back to the fight last November, I knew that I had to put on a good show. In my head, I fought a lad, Jamie Morrissey, who was like 6-0 or 7-0. In my head, beating him on points wasn't enough. I knew I had to stop him. And I can remember talking to Eddie Hearn the day before, and I said, if this goes into the last round, I'm going to do everything I can to get him out of there. And I remember it was going into the last round, and I was wrecked. And I'm sitting in the corner, and it came to me, I was like, I have to get him out of here. I have to get him out of here. Stood up, I saw it gave me extra motivation.
Yeah.
Went for it. I think there was only about a minute left in the fight, and I got him out there. A great experience, and for me, it was sort of good because it was the most entertaining fight of the night. For me, professional boxing has to be about entertainment. So that's when you're a promoter, you're looking at a person that can sell tickets, you're looking at a person that can market themselves, but you're also looking at a person that can fight and bring entertainment. That's the winning formula if they go on to them shows. So that's probably why I'm getting the opportunities.
Yeah, well, you talk about that final round, and you see from the footage as well that extra gear that you went into, and when that towel came in, I don't even think you realised in your mind it had been there. You were ready to keep going and just fight till obviously your arms fell off. And when that happens, and somebody comes and they put their arms around you and they tell you you've got it, you've got that. Does that sense of is there a sense of relief in that, or is there a sense of joy?
Now, I'm gonna sound miserable here, right? I don't get too much personal joy out of winning. So the joy I get out of winning is looking at my family, looking at my friends, looking at my club, and looking at everyone that supported me. But me personally, when I wake up the next morning, I'm just thinking, what's next? And maybe that's why I got to the Olympics, and maybe that's why I'm doing well in boxing, is because I'm never resting on my laurels, and I'm never just taking what's coming. I always want more. The thing, it's a good and a bad thing, because when I lose, I'll think about them for months or years even. But when I win, I'm just thinking, what's next? So for me, there's never really any personal joy. There's just what's next. How can I get better? What can we do to get more fights on bigger stages? Which I suppose it's working well for me.
Yeah, like a Roy Keane mentality, isn't it? Like you see him really fucking enjoying it.
And there's I suppose there's two sides to that coin, especially as you get older. You realise these moments aren't going to be around forever, and there's not too many more of them. So in my head, I try to be a little bit more grateful of them. But when they happen, I just revert back to type, and I'm like, what's next? Like, it's something that I can't really change inside me. But I wish I could, and I wish I could show a little bit more gratitude towards it.
And you talked about like the flair that you have to produce on the night of a pro fight. Would that be a massive difference between, I suppose, fighting in the Olympics, where it's probably more heavily based on scoring points?
Yeah, I suppose amateur boxing now it's scored similar to the professional boxing, where it used to be just on points, but now they score it by rounds. And they're more scoring the aggressor, which is towards like professional boxing.
Yeah.
But it's only over 3 rounds. So you got to be fast out at the start. If you lose the first round, you got to win the next 2 rounds. If you win the first round, you only have to win 1 more round. So it's mostly who starts best wins the fight.
Yeah.
But with professional boxing, you can lose the first 2 rounds and win the next 6. Or you can lose the first 3 rounds and win the next 5 and still win the fight.
Yeah.
So or if it's a 10 rounder, you can lose 4 rounds of that fight and still win. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So it's just the way I would sort of put it is like amateur boxing is like a 100-meter sprint. Professional boxing is like a marathon. That's the way I sort of describe it.
Yeah.
It's a slower, longer pace that you can make a few more mistakes, but overall, you obviously got to win more rounds.
Time to redeem yourself.
Yeah, you do. You can sort of like, you can nearly afford yourself a slower start, but in the amateurs, if you have a slow start,
you see that with Tyson Fury a lot, don't you? Like, he's a slow starter, but he figures
a better lad out and back in. But it's just, and a lot, you will see a lot of amateurs that's very, very fast, and they don't really hit that hard, and they're like them point scorers that you're talking about. They could be Olympic champions, and then they go to professional boxing and they do nothing.
Yeah,
they don't really have.
That's what I was getting.
They don't have the strength. They don't have the stamina to do it over 10, 11, 12 rounds. It's a strange one, because we talked about me dreams of being an Olympian. My boxing style never suited amateur boxing. My boxing style was always to be a professional boxer. I reckon, again, you don't know this, but if I had gone professional, age 20, 21, 22, I probably could have done some incredible things, but it wasn't my dream.
Yeah.
And that's not something I ever do think
it's like
about.
a hindsight thing.
Yeah.
I guess obviously, like you spoke about styles in regards to fighting, but there's also styles and different routines in regards to training as well. And as Keith mentioned, big fight coming up. Kevin Cronin, well, probably less than a month out now, is it? And obviously your routine turns into a slog in a sense now. Like, you're prominent on Instagram and you're showing what needs to be done from the moment you wake up to, you're hitting the bed. And I was wondering, does that change in a sense in regards to your normal training routine? Does it amp up for a title fight?
Yeah, so you can't really train at the intensity that I'm training for a fight all year round, because it's impossible. You're going to pull up with injuries, you'll plateau, you'll actually probably do more harm than good. So normally, like, a fight that's an 8 round, like, you'll do an 8 to 10 week like intense training camp. That's what I'm in the middle of doing right now. And yeah, I document it through Instagram, because we're going back to professional boxing. It's about marking, it's about putting yourself out there, and it's not something that I like to do, but I know the game that I'm in, so I have to do it. But yeah, I'm deep into it. We're 4 weeks out now, so the next like 2.5 weeks is the last like push on the hard training. Quite like it's 11 training sessions a week, 2 training sessions Monday to Friday, then I train Saturday morning, have Saturday night and all day Sunday off. So it's quite intense. And right now, as you can see from the black eye, I'm in a heavy sparring load. So I'll do 2 8-round spars a week against like top class opponents. No disrespect to my opponent that I'm fighting on September 20th, but the lads that I'm actually sparring against are a lot better than him. So I'm going to be well equipped for everything that he brings. Again, I'm not overlooking him. You go into a fight for the Celtic title in the Tree Arena, he's going to give every single thing he has to win. And I know that. So that's why I'm doing all this hard training. If I was sort of overlooking him, I could be missing a training session here or there. As I said to you, as I have my bag packed there, I'm running home from here to get me 15k in. So it's about just sticking to the schedule, having a game plan, and going back to what I done when I won my first elite title, believing in myself.
Yeah, and obviously the second title up for grabs on the night, second weight class. Does that mean more to you than the win does?
Like, not really. For me, again, at this stage of the game, 33, every fight is like a final. You got to win. It doesn't matter if there's a title on the line. It doesn't matter if it's against a journeyman. It doesn't matter if it's a 4-round or a 6-round or an 8-round. I got to win every fight. I got to stay unbeaten. Again, I'm not disrespecting my opponent, especially against this caliber of opponent where I see myself going on to levels above where I am now. I got to be beating this opponent. And although I've said, like, I want to win in style, it doesn't matter how I win the fight. It's just about winning. But yeah, to win your second title in 4 fights, again, back in the Tree Arena, it is special because, as you mentioned, professional boxing is a business. If I really wanted it, I could get to 15, 16, 17, 18 and 0 without ever fighting anyone. You don't,
Yeah.
like, I can pick who I fight, basically.
Yeah.
I can fight people with 20, 30, 40 losses every 4 weeks. But I said when I'm going to go into professional boxing, especially at a little bit of a later age, I wasn't going to take them fights. So this is my 4th fight, and it's the 3rd person that I fought with a winning record in a row, which is good.
Yeah, I know you. I just want to go back to that previous point you were saying about being professional and having to sell yourself. But like, at the same time, you putting out your story and what you've gone through to get to where you are now is, I'd say, like, inspiring to any young boxer or any young sports person to see the journey that you've went through to get to where you are now. You're not only selling your promotion, I think you're selling yourself and maybe helping out those younger fellas that might be in the same boat.
Yeah, like the amount of messages I get on the likes of Instagram and Twitter off people of all ages just saying how much I've either inspired them or else they're going down the wrong road with the drink, or they need to pull themselves back together. Now, all I can ever give them is advice for it. Like, I'll always try to get back to them, but you wouldn't believe, like, you're probably getting at least 1 or 2 a week, maybe 3 or 4 a week. So look, it's 2024. There is a lot of people struggling. There's a lot of people that get lost at life. You know yourselves, like our early 20s as a man, it wasn't easy 10, 15 years ago. It's a lot harder now.
Now,
I probably am helping inspire a few. But like everything I do on social media, it's just honest. It's me.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And touching on that, is that where you see post-professional career? Is that where you see yourself taking it on? It's, having the club, having the training, like using your skills and abilities in order to, push it on to the next generation.
Yeah, so like I haven't 100% thought what I'm going to go into when I retire. I've opened up my own boxing club last year, and that's gone really well. That's like a boxing club for over 18s, not for people that want to go on and be Olympians. It's, to be honest, it's a business. It's not a boxing club.
Yeah.
So my probably dream with that would be in the next 2 to 3 years is to probably have 3 to 5 clubs in different areas in Dublin. So just to grow that business. And then when I do eventually retire from boxing, I want to be a manager. So I want to manage young professionals coming through. I want to do it a little bit different than how managers are doing at the moment. So I want to probably, boxing can be a bit of a bad game where professional boxers are sort of taken advantage of. So I want to do it a little bit different. The only way of doing that a little bit different is you probably have to take a higher percentage out of the boxer, which in turn is sort of doing what the others are doing, but you'll offer them probably a lot more in terms of marketing themselves and stuff like that. So I have a little vision of going into that. How I'm going to do it, I haven't really thought about it because it's not 3 or 4 years down the line. But although I'm 100% in boxing at 33, you do have to have a little bit of an eye outside of what's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 years. And you also see a lot of people getting injured and having to retire. So I don't know what will happen over the next 3 or 4 years, but I'm going to give her everything I have.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
You need that end game, don't you? And I guess if you could look back at a young Emmet Brennan, what advice or would you give to yourself, or would you tell a young Emmet to do something slightly different?
Yeah, like looking back at it when I was a kid, like I was lost, no structure, no focus. I always thought I was a great trainer. I wasn't a bad trainer, but like for me, thinking I was a great trainer, I was training 3 or 4 nights a week. I wasn't 100% all in. I would have, I suppose it's cliche, I would have said believe in yourself a lot sooner. Because as I mentioned earlier, I didn't really start to believe in myself until I was 25. If I had done that from 17, 18, 19, maybe I could have gone to the Olympics earlier. I don't know, but believing in yourself, and as we said, surrounding yourself with the right people, I think that's definitely key to somewhat having a successful and happy life.
Yeah, great advice. And for anyone that's looking to find you online or on the socials, where do they go to see your stuff?
Yeah, I think on almost all platforms it's just Emmet Brennan. Nice and simple.
Yeah.
1 T, EMMET, Brennan. Yeah, nice and simple.
Brilliant.
Deadly.
We'll stick that in the show notes. And look, we don't let any guests leave without them adding a song to our Spotify playlist. And
What's the training song at the minute?
yeah, what's the training song at the minute? What would your choice be to go on there to get people?
You know, I don't like when I'm down the boxing club, it's the coach that puts them on. Well, the coach puts them on. The 17, 18-year-olds tell them what to do. It's normally a bit of dance music. I suppose for me, I don't know if this probably was chosen. I'll go Crazy World, Aslan. I walked out to that on my debut. It was actually the week after Christy Dingham died, so go Crazy World.
Oh, nice one.
Crazy World.
I won't take that shit.
Delighted with that. Great interview. And look, Emmet, myself, Keith, appreciate you coming on. We wish you all the best for September 20th and for the rest of your boxing career and what else you have going on after that. I don't know if you have anything else to add to it, Keith?
No, brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Again, really appreciate you coming in. Brilliant.
Yeah, look, thanks for having me. As I said there, like, look where you are now after 30 shows, is it?
Something like that.
Yeah, in and around that. So, like, look where you're going over the next year or two. You just kind of keep on going and going. Similar to what I said earlier, like, you're surrounding yourself, like, the people that you're getting the interview now and have already interviewed, you are probably going to take some sort of motivation from that and just keep on building and building. But for me, it's a pleasure to be here.
Brilliant. And look, we'll play you out now to your song choice. Take it easy, Emmet.
I don't have to sing it, do it.
Cheers, Emma. Thank you.
Thanks, lads.
That's just about it for season 4, episode 1.
Yeah, special thanks to Emmet and Dessie for jumping on the episode with us this week.
Yeah,
Appreciate it, lads.
100%. And look, with that, we just want to say a massive thank you to our sponsors, Robbins Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company, for supporting us over the last few months and now providing us with this amazing studio to record the rest of this season and many more out of.
Yeah. Special thanks to Deirdre and the team. Like we were saying there, really appreciate it, and long may it continue. Thanks a mil.
100%. And look, if you liked what you heard, come back next time for more overload chat and guest interviews, and head over to wherever you get your podcast. Give us a like and a follow to be notified when the next one drops. Take it easy.
Talk to you next week.